Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. I just want to clarify and put in some extra points for you on why, if you're a sister, you shouldn't be sending your lust confessions, DMs, direct messages to someone who is not a trained professional, someone who's not a clinical psychologist, clinical therapist, marriage counselor, someone who is actually certified to give you such advice. Because when you send such types of materials to either his wife or himself, you're participating in a sex act, a digital sex act, which is not good for you, because he's reading it, getting stimulated, you writing it are getting stimulated, his wife reading it gets stimulated or angry, and she passes it off to her man. They read it together, and a married couple reading such, debased material together and then sharing it with the world, pushing out the sins and desires of their fellow Muslims and shaming them before the world, even if it's anonymous, is quite grievous. You should not tell anyone those things except for those who need to hear it. And it's not educational because these things are already known and can be read about from a scientific perspective in a data format that is actually insightful, and certain trained professionals can help someone understand how to make their marriage more romantic, not lustful. It took me many years to understand the difference between romance and lust, and what's programmed into you by the pornography industry, and what is there naturally, and what's going to actually work within your relationship, and what's going to satisfy your soul, and what's going to keep you out of the clutches of shaitan, because the lust demon is a slippery slope, and if you allow this type of energy into your marriage, into your room, it's very bad for you. And imagine if your husband caught you typing and sending such messages. Some of these sisters have messaged from their real account, and I want you to think about how sinful it is if you went about creating a false account. Not only did you set up an email, create a password, and then type it and send it to him through a sock account, you revealed a very intimate aspect of your psychology to a man who is going to mock you, make fun of you, and make men hate women and see them as disgusting beasts or as sinful. And what's hypocritical is this individual mocks women who do OnlyFans. He mocks women who do porn. He mocks men who marry divorced women, men who marry single moms, and then turns around and shares material of niqabi and hijabi sisters to everyone in the world that they are filthy and that they have these desires that they're sharing with non-mahrams. You shouldn't share that with a mahram, but with people who they shouldn't, which makes the image of the Muslim women less pious. Sisters, when you wear the hijab and the jilbab and our Islamic clothing, it's a struggle, but you gotta live up to the garb and wear it with grace and honor. Otherwise, it starts to not mean anything, because look what the Catholics had happened to them. The porn industry started wearing Catholic nun clothing, and they started wearing the Christian clothing on Halloween, and it really degraded how people viewed the religion and how much respect they took for the people. So please be considerate. Don't send someone those kinds of messages. He cannot help you. You are helping to stimulate him. The young unmarried men who are struggling already with pornography addiction, they're reading it, getting excited. They're gonna go Google things because of what their red pill role model put in their head. I myself, those of us who desperately work hard to recover from that addiction, when you read things like that, it puts strain on your mind and puts images in your mind, and it's very unhealthy for your psychology and for your spirituality. And if you did do something like that and you sent this guy who's not a clinical professional, you sent him, he doesn't have a private practice, he doesn't have a coaching type of thing that is medically supervised. So if you did do something like that, I really hope that you repent, that you turn around and say, I'm sorry, Allah, please forgive me. And not only do you ask for forgiveness, but you make sure you never do it again, because that is wrong. And imagine if you get caught by your mother, your father, your sister, your child, right in the middle of sending it, or your man comes home early, you weren't paying attention, he opens the door, says, what are you doing? He grabs your phone, and violence happens. Shaitan wants you to have problems. And any man who is married, who solicits you and prompts you to do such a sinful action, he is helping Shaitan to get back inside your head, helping you to be less pure. He's ruining your honor. He's tempting you. I know in today's age, we have so much lust around us, so much pornography, so much degeneracy, so much hedonism. But that doesn't mean that you then follow people and let them lie to you with their split tongues that this is for educational purposes. No, it isn't. If it was for education, it would be more private. Like, if I want to tell a sister how to comfort her Muslim man, you do it in a way that's kind of as dry as you can get it, as bare bones as you can get it, but there is some motherly counsel there, some big sister counsel there. And even then, you have to be super careful, okay? And to say, oh, well, men don't know that women are like that. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Okay? I know of a case where an 11-year-old boy was already addicted to that material. 11 years old. It's like a 5th grader, 6th grader. Quite young. And so, for people to put such material like that in the community, it really shows you how the Muslim men are failing to correct that type of behavior, because any man who is married, whose wife approves of something like that, she either wants the money from it, enjoys the fame, she gets off on her man doing it, or she is so weak and so low in character that she permits her man to do things that dishonor their marriage, dishonor him as a father, dishonor himself, and helps make Muslim women less pious and have a more dirtier image to the world. Again, you want to maintain our image, want to maintain our reputations. For reverts, especially American women, we're struggling with that. And then to have some dude who's not a trained professional, not seeking to actually help people recover, to expose the sins of Muslims online for clicks and controversy, to court attention at all costs, this is a problem, and this isn't healthy. It's really scary, because you're like, a young man could read that. We need to work better to get pornography out of the community. And I've taken classes on human sexuality before I was a Muslim, because it was required for a health credit. And writing things on the screen like that is a form of a sexual act. Not all sexual acts require penetration and touching. Some are verbal. I'm not going to get into it, but what he is doing and his wife, they're inviting you into some sort of digital threesome, and this is not healthy for you. Turn away, sisters. If you have issues with masculinity because your father was bad, or you are lonely, you seek to get married, talk to your husband, get help in the right direction. Asking a guy like that to marry you shows you have something wrong with you. If you're sending and proposing yourself to be a 2nd, 3rd, 4th wife to someone who solicits strangers on the internet to send them DMs, he's a Andrew Tate clone, that isn't a proper husband. That is someone who's going to invite sin into your life, probably groom you, pimp you out. It's someone who isn't necessarily pious, not a student of knowledge, not trying to fight the sin, but is trying to create the sin. Because when you read things like that, you don't think, oh, I'm going to go pray now. Sometimes you're like, oh no. And then it becomes a serious struggle for 10 minutes once all those hormones just shoot into your body. Okay? And we must be wary of this. So please, don't send any more things like that to this guy. If you have an issue, seek professional counsel from discreet individuals who aren't going to make clickbait content to their fans, and where men aren't going to insult you. And please seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you have some type of thought that comes into your head. Just try to do better, okay, sisters? Please. You could get a stalker. He could blackmail you. He could say, oh, I have a screenshot of your account, I know it's you, and I'm going to tell so-and-so. But either way, Allah sees what you do. It's going in your account of your record, of what you did. Never send provocative messages to married men, any men, okay? And never send a woman such messages either. She could be bisexual. She could be masturbating to it. A real Muslim woman doesn't want to read that kind of stuff, okay? So she has sin in her, and you need to get away from her. Any couple who comes together for the propagation of sin like that, to disgrace Muslims, and to say, look, she may be a niqabi, but she ain't a nun. This is how the people who hate Muslims already shame us, because we want to be respected when we wear the niqab, the hijab. We want to be honored. We want to show that we are trying our best to live up to what Allah wants us to have. And somebody who pushes you to share things that no one else should read except your love of your life or a professional, this is something bad. And you need to be careful, because it could really just get you into trouble. Please don't do it, okay? Don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't follow people like that. There's better men out there who are single that you can get married to, and you can be with them. You want a guy who makes you better, not a guy who pulls you down to the muck and mire of sin and degradation and dishonorment. Someone who fears Allah doesn't engage in that kind of behavior. Do your best, be strong, and have a good day.